everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of Beyond the Birds and the Bees, a podcast that is all about answering questions to do with sex and relationships and your body and consent and basically anything that you can think of that you might be too scared to ask a parent or an older sibling or an aunt or an uncle. So, this is a podcast for teens, but really it can be for anybody. Okay, so today we are diving into the emotions that come with sex, okay, especially the first time, because there are going to be a lot of emotions that come with this, whether you think there is or not. I want to talk about why sex brings so many emotions, right? Because sex isn't just physical, it's emotional. And the first time can come with a lot of feelings. You might feel nervous, excited, unsure, scared, curious, pressured, or like you're finally doing something that everyone else is doing or that they've already done. Not the best reason to be having sex, though, right? So, all of those feelings are normal, and sex is personal and vulnerable, and that's why it can feel very overwhelming. I think the reason that um, sex is so personal, so vulnerable, and it should be a big deal is because you're giving a piece of yourself to someone. Every single time you have sex throughout your life, you're giving a piece of yourself to someone, but more so your very first time. You're giving a piece of yourself to this person and you're sharing this very intimate part of yourself and this experience with the person that you're choosing to lose your virginity to. Sex isn't just physical, you guys, as much as you think that it is because it's just sex. There's a very emotional side attached to it. And when you're younger, you don't know how to regulate your emotions as well. And I'm not going to lie, like as adults, when it comes to sex as well, sometimes we don't know how to regulate our emotions very well either. I mean, I've tried the friends with benefits thing and I ended up falling in love with the dude, and he did not feel the same way uh, for me. And I had to get out of that situation for my own peace of mind, for my own mental health, right? But yeah, having sex for the first time, you are sharing a piece of yourself with another person. And that's what makes it so emotional and so vulnerable, and you're so young, and you want that first time to be with this first love that will last forever, because we all think that way and we all hope that way. It does not always end up that way. There are some people that they are still with the first person that they ever were with, and that's amazing in its own. But majority, for most people, is you don't end up with the person that you had sex with for the first time. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not with the person that I did it with for the first time. And I'm okay with that. So yes, emotions with the first time. You're young. You don't know how to handle these emotions, and is this person going to treat you the way that you should be treated when it's your first time? So these are all things that make it even more important than any other time that you are going to have sex, and what makes it so emotional and vulnerable. We're also going to get into emotions that you might feel before you have sex, like things that you think like, what if I'm not ready? Am I doing this because I want to, or because I feel like I should? What if I regret it? So during sex, you might feel super close or suddenly distant or awkward. And after sex, you might feel happy, confused, emotional, or even, empty inside, and because it wasn't what you expected. And all of these things are normal, okay? So I want to talk to you guys a little about my first time. I know I kind of alluded in episode 1 about how I had very open parents that were willing to talk to me about anything, and how, my mom made sure that I understood that sex or sexual acts, sexual things should be done with someone that I love and someone that loves me and that respects me. And that was super important, because I had come across so many girls in my school that they were talking about having sex at parties. And one of the girls said to me, I'm going to go to this party and I'm just going to find someone to have sex with and just get it done and over with. Like, I just want to have my virginity gone. And I thought that was crazy because, my mom made me think of my virginity as something special, and it is. It should be something special, and it should be something that you give to someone that you love, and the whole experience should be special. And I'm not talking about movie special, like rom-com special where they get hotels, or there's flower petals all over the bed and candles lit everywhere and like all that sort of stuff. Like that's not real. That's not normally how it works. My first time was in my boyfriend's bedroom in his parents' house. So, I mean, there's really nothing special in where it took place. What made it special was the whole experience. So, yeah, so I was raised that losing your virginity is something important and it should be with someone you love. And my mom did emphasize that it doesn't necessarily have to be with someone that you're married to, because I know that there's going to be a lot of parents out there, a lot of adults out there that are like, oh, you should wait till marriage. And if that is something that you want to do, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I am not judging you on that. That is totally okay. But for the ones of you that don't want to wait till marriage, that is also okay. There is nothing wrong with sex outside of marriage if that is your preference. But your first time, and hopefully most of your times, should be with someone that you love. Although I'm not going to lie, because that is not what I do on this podcast. There are one night stands, and we do have sex with people that we don't love or have feelings for or barely even know for longer than an hour. Let's be honest, it happens. Not to everyone. There are some people out there that have never had a one night stand. Again, not judging. I have a couple times. So it's not always with someone that I've loved, but my first time was. So my first experience, let's get into it. So I was with my boyfriend for 6 months at this time, I believe, almost. Yeah, 6 months. And I decided I was ready. So let me preface as well that he was not a virgin. He had already had sex before with some other girls, not a lot, but he was older than me by 2 years as well. He was 18 and I was 16 when we first started dating. Yes, he did have to get my dad's permission to date me, by the way. But I decided 6 months in that I was ready and I wanted to take this step with him because I loved him and he loved me. He was the person that I had done everything else with as well. So, hand jobs, oral sex, all that. So I was ready for the next step with him. And it was going to be on Valentine's Day. That was my plan. And at this point, he did have his own place as well. He had roommates or whatever, but he did have his own place. So I ended up going over to his place. Again, my parents knew we had been dating for quite some time. And I told him that night, like, I want to have sex, like I am ready. And it was Valentine's Day, so it was going to be so special. And as we were getting into the act, so we're making out and doing all of the things, I suddenly decided that I didn't want to. that I wasn't ready. I didn't feel comfortable. And he was totally okay with that. And he made me feel safe enough that I was able to say, like, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't think I'm ready for this. And he didn't make me feel awkward or judged or like I had gotten his hopes up and just like broke him. He was totally okay with it, and he just loved me and hugged me and kissed me and cuddled me and just let me know that it was totally okay. I did feel bad because I did tell him that I was ready to do something and then backed out, but the way he reacted when I did that and just how amazing he was just made me feel so much better. Okay, so we all know Valentine's Day, February 14th, right? So February 17th, 3 days later, we are at his parents' house and we were in his room downstairs because he still had a room at his parents' house because he hadn't been moved out of there for very long. And we were down there, and I had decided that day that now I was ready again. And so we were in his bedroom and we were making out on his bed. And yes, protection was talked about in my family, like condoms and birth control and all that, and not getting pregnant. I do have two older sisters that did get pregnant at 18, 17 and 18. So they were teenage moms, and I did not want that for myself. So it was, yes, I had my parents telling me about protection and birth control, but I also had role models to see what it did to their life and know that that wasn't what I wanted. So I did have a condom with me because I knew before telling my boyfriend that I wanted to try again to have sex. So we're on his bed making out, and I had brought a condom with me and tucked it under the pillow, so he didn't know it was there. And we were making out, and I pulled it out and I put it like on his chest because he was on top of me because we were kissing. And he like grabs it and he looks at it and he looks at me and he says, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And he slides it under the pillow and he just continues making out with me and kissing me. And I was like, okay, weird. Like, does he not realize what I'm saying? Like, most boys would be like, really? Okay, let's do this, right? So after like a few more minutes of us kissing, I grabbed it again and I handed it back to him again, like put it on his chest, and he grabs it and he looks at me again. He's like, "Are you sure? Like you're really sure like this is what you want to do?" And I was like, "Yes." And where his bed was is he had a dresser behind us, and he puts it up on top of the dresser and just again continues to kiss me and love me and cuddle me and just be so wonderful and amazing. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh my God, like, does he not want to have sex with me? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, is there something wrong with me? Kind of thing, right? Because, so, again, normally if you hand a boy a condom and tell them that you want to have sex, they're all gung ho and they jump at the opportunity, right? So, I did say to him, I was like, do you not like want to do this with me, or like what's wrong? And he just looked at me and he's like, I just want to make sure that you are sure and that you're 100% ready, and I don't want you to feel pressured, and I don't want you to feel like I'm not gonna love you if we don't do this. And it was just so reassuring and was all the green flags that I needed to hear from the man that I was going to give myself to for the first time. So long story short, we ended up having sex. I'm not going to say it was the most mind blowing sex of my life. I mean, it was my first time. I didn't know what I liked, what I needed, how I needed to be touched, where, I had like my own from knowing how I like to do it with myself and like things like that. But that's not really a concern when you have sex for the first time. So sorry to burst your bubble. You're probably not going to have this most mind blowing, orgasmic, freaking experience again, like in the movies. It does not happen that way for most people. I was really concerned because I had always been told that your first time hurts because you are breaking this like flesh barrier that girls have, and so that it hurts and you bleed. And so that was always a little terrifying thought that was in my head about having sex for the first time. um, and I had talked to a lot of girls that said that their first time did hurt. Mine did not. So I want to chalk that up to the fact that I was truly ready. I was relaxed. I wasn't scared. He was very gentle with me. It wasn't forceful. It wasn't quick. It wasn't like a rabbit, you know? um, that's what I chalk it up to, is that I was truly ready. I feel for some women when they've had pain, it was because maybe they weren't really ready for sex and they were tense during the situation. And I was not, and I could be wrong about that, you know. I maybe it would have hurt no matter what. I don't know, because it did not hurt for me. So be prepared. Yes, it may hurt, but also be prepared that if you are truly ready and you're truly relaxed and truly with the right person, that it won't hurt, or that the pain will be minimal because they are being gentle and because you are so relaxed. But yeah, so we ended up having sex. And like I said, it wasn't like I had this mind blowing experience, but at the same time, emotionally, it was a mind blowing experience. I will never, ever, and I have said this repeatedly over the years, I will never regret my first time, who it was with, where it was. Like, yeah, in his bedroom, in his parents' house, whatever. Like, the location to me wasn't what made it special. It was all of the other little things, like how he treated me throughout it, how comfortable he made me feel. Yeah, I'll never regret it. And I know, and I've heard a lot of stories from women, from girls, that they do regret it. And I feel so terrible for them, because I can't relate, because that's not the experience that I had. But I feel terrible for them because I know what it's like to have an amazing experience. And I feel like every girl should have that experience with someone. So, moral of the story, you guys, that was a bit of a long one, but I want you to look for someone, if you're going to have sex for the first time, who gives you those green flags, who makes you feel safe and comfortable. Don't just go around with the thought of, I just want to get rid of my virginity. I just want to, all my friends are talking about it. They're all doing it. And like, I just want to, be in the same place that they are, or doing the same things that they're doing, or any of that, because you don't know how their experience truly was. They could be lying, right? um they could be lying about how much they've actually done. I know that there are some girls and boys that will lie about how far they've gone with a girl or a boy, to make themselves look good amongst their friends. um so you don't know what's true, what's not. All you know is what's true for yourself. And I just want you to be sure and to have an experience that you're never going to regret, and that you're going to look back when you're 38 years old, um, and you're going to sit and tell someone your story, maybe your child, your daughter, about your experience and how wonderful it was, instead of a story where you can't tell your child that, and your story is about the regret that you have behind your first time. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone, only because, again, I know what it's like. So yeah, that's a little bit of my story. I know that was a little long, but I'm here to be very detailed and open and personal with you guys, and I'm not here to hide shit from you guys of how it really truly is or can be. So, how to know that you are emotionally ready. I am doing this because I want to. If I say no, will they respect me? Do I feel safe and comfortable? Am I prepared for the emotional aftermath? These are all things that you should be thinking about when you are going to have sex for the first time. Okay? And I don't want it to be a simple thought. Like, that's not a quick question to scan over. None of those questions are like quick questions to just scan over. I want you to really truly sit in it and think about it. Okay? Because there can be some not great emotional aftermath that can come with sex if the experience wasn't good. You may end up feeling empty inside. You may end up feeling like you did something that you truly shouldn't have done or didn't want to do. Don't feel that way. Okay. So before you have sex, think about all these things so that you don't have to feel sad or broken or empty inside after your first time because the person that you did it with is a piece of shit that gets what he wants from you or gets what she wants from you and breaks up with you and has nothing to do with you ever again and just used you for what they wanted. It does happen. So you need to be sure that you are doing it with the right person. Okay. So I want to talk about some of the red flags to look for and signs that someone isn't the right person and that they're not going to respect you or your boundaries. Okay. So if they're going to pressure you to change your mind, so example, like if you guys are there making out on his bed, her bed, whatever, you're on their bed and you guys are making out and you decide, maybe you're not quite ready to do something. And this does not just have to be with sex. I want you all to know that this can be with anything, with oral sex, with touching, with kissing. Okay. This isn't just sex. Okay. It's any type of sex, whether it's your hand, your mouth, or your vagina or your penis. Oh, I know I just said the words. Oh my goodness. But that's what they are, okay? So if they're, oh, come on, we're already here, or oh, you're such a tease. Why would you do that to me? Right? So like guilt trips of you just led me on. Red flags, okay? It doesn't matter if you told them that you were ready and that you wanted to do something and then you back out, just like I did in my story, okay? My man was totally fine with it. He said none of those things to me, okay? I do not want you to feel like you have to push forward either, okay? While you're doing it, he or she, your partner, should be checking in with you, okay? Just like mine did, right? Like when I handed him that condom, are you sure? Are you sure? Like he checked in. And throughout the experience where we were having actual intercourse, he checked in as well. Like, are you okay? Does this hurt? Do you need me to move? Do you want me to do something different? Like he was checking in to make sure that I was still comfortable, that I still felt safe, that I was still having a great experience. And it didn't matter. And I knew it didn't matter if we were halfway through it and I decided I wanted to stop, even though we'd already begun and we were in the middle of having intercourse. If I had said, I don't want to do this anymore, can you please stop? He would have been out of me in an instant and he would have stopped and he would have been, are you okay? What did I do? What can I do? Right? That is the type of person that you need to look for your first time. I don't want you to let a man say to you or make you feel like you saying no will ruin the mood, because it won't. And if it does, again, not the right person for you. And that's an easy way to find out if it's the right person for you. And I'm not saying play games, but at some point, I feel like you are probably going to be in a situation with a boyfriend or a girlfriend with your partner where you're doing something and you're going to change your mind, even if it's just kissing. Maybe it's, manual stimulation with your partner, or oral, and you're not going to want to. And if they say to you that you're ruining the mood, or they say any of the other things that I've mentioned, or make you feel bad in any type of way, not to move forward with anything else with this person, probably including the relationship, because it just goes to show you he's not gonna, or she's not going to, or they're not going to respect you in anything throughout the relationship, not just sex. Okay. But I do want to talk a little bit more about them green flags, because there are green flags, as you can see with my situation, right? So make sure that they are asking you how you're feeling, and that they're actually listening. Okay. So asking you is one thing, but listening to you, and if you say no, or you say, could you try this instead? Or could we do this? Or could we just cuddle for a bit? They should be totally fine with that. And they should actually listen and stop. Okay. They need to respect your boundaries instantly. I don't mean respecting your boundaries as in like a couple minutes later, or respecting your boundaries as, oh, can I just finish first before we stop, or anything like that. Instantly. Like I said, with my experience with who I was with, if I had said, I need to stop, I don't want to do this anymore, he would have been out of me in a heartbeat. Okay. And making sure that I was okay. Another green flag is they check in and they care about your comfort, just like I talked about. Like, am I okay? Are you okay? Is this okay? Does this work? Does this hurt? Does this feel good? All of those questions. And you might think that those are awkward questions that to be asking or to be answering, but I am going to say this: if you find those questions awkward, you're not ready. You are not ready to be having sex if you cannot ask, or answer those questions throughout your experience, because they're not embarrassing questions. Okay. They are not questions that you should feel uncomfortable about. They're great questions that are going to make the connection between you two people just absolutely amazing. So if you're finding them uncomfortable, or you are embarrassed about them, and I know this is a, judgment-free zone, and no question should be embarrassing, but if you are finding those questions uncomfortable or embarrassing while you're with your partner, and you're scared to answer those questions with them, you're not ready to be doing whatever you are doing with them, because those are questions that are going to keep you safe. Okay. So, some more green flags is they remind you that no is always okay. So, they should be reminding you too. Like, you're allowed to say no. It's okay to say no. I'm not going to be mad if you say no. I'm not going to be mad if we stop this halfway through. Just make sure that they're checking in with you. Again, whether you're a guy or you're a girl, whether you're with a guy, or whether you're with a girl, or with the same sex, it doesn't matter. This person should be asking you these questions because they respect you, and they love you, and they care about you. And that's what's going to make it really important. So whatever you're feeling, it is valid, and you're not behind, or you're not weird. Like I said, just because your peers or your friends are telling you that they're doing this, first off, doesn't mean that they actually are. They could just be saying it to try to look cool or to fit in, which, let's not be like that. Don't make your peers or your friends feel like they have to lie to you to fit in with you. Okay. And if you feel like you have to lie about the things that you're doing to fit in, you're not hanging out with the right people. Those are not your real friends, and you should get as far away from them as humanly possible. Okay. But yeah, I think that this is a really important topic. I am so glad that I did this episode, and I am sure there are going to be tons of questions from you guys about the emotions behind having sex for the first time, I want you to ask them, because that is a very important first step. And I don't care if it's your first time having sex either, or if it's your first time kissing somebody, or if it's your first time having manual stimulation with your partner or oral with your partner. It doesn't matter. It's still always going to be a first time. Although, the first time you have actual intercourse is probably the most memorable. I can't honestly say that I remember my first time giving or receiving oral sex or manual stimulation either. Um, Not saying that it wasn't important, but I think it just wasn't as important to me as losing my virginity. But I know you guys are going to have questions, and I want you to feel comfortable asking those questions. And if you feel that there's something that I missed that you want me to address, do not feel ashamed to put it in the comments. And if you are a little bit too embarrassed to put it in the comments, or you feel like someone might see it, email me, okay? So I do have the email. It is down in the description as well, beyondthebirdsanthebees101@gmail.com. I'm always here to answer anything for you guys. Again, do not be ashamed of the questions that you have. This is a very important thing, important step that you are going to do in your life, and never be embarrassed to be asking questions about this, to know for sure that you're ready, or that you're with the right person, or that you're doing the right things. Okay. And stay tuned. Next week, we got another great episode coming, and I want you guys to be a part of it. And thank you so much for listening today. And I am so glad that you are here for this. And I'm so glad that I can give these perspectives and help you guys with the questions that you have.